Lawyers explain why bail differs for crypto washouts Sam Bankman-Fried and Eisenberg. In the US, state and federal bail restrictions can differ wildly, and unless there's some reason to believe that a charged individual will hurt themselves or others or flee before their trial, federal bail conditions are usually quite reasonable. In the case of Sam Bankman-Fried, while he's charged with the third largest corporate fraud in history, surpassed only by Bernie Madoff and Enron, he's also never committed another crime, was relatively easily extradited from the Bahamas, and comes from a well-connected family at Stanford University. Unfortunately, it helps to be a young white male with an expensive team of attorneys. Meanwhile, Avraham Eisenberg, the exploiter of the decentralized exchange Mango Markets, also faced bail hearings this month. Only, he played his cards quite differently. Instead of putting up the assets of friends and family to make bail, Eisenberg waived his right to bail entirely and went directly to jail. So, why were their bail cases treated so differently? Protos reached out to several lawyers who spoke on background to provide some answers. Prosecutors show bail leniency for their own benefit. Rumours began to swirl when Sam Bankman-Fried was instantly able to meet an enormous bail amount, $250 million. But as more information came to light, it's clear that Sam Bankman-Fried was never expected to pay that full amount. If the curly-haired former billionaire were to stop showing up in court, he would only be expected to cough up a fraction of the $250 million. Indeed, the total value of assets up for grabs amounts to roughly 1 to 2% of the bail, if market rates for Sam Bankman-Fried's family home are generous. In essence, the impossible-to-meet $250 million capital requirements were never placed to be met in full. However, if Sam Bankman-Fried fled, it would surely force his parents, Larry Kramer and Andreas Pepke, the individuals who put assets up to get Sam Bankman-Fried out on bail, into extremely stormy financial straits. What ended up being more important was that Sam Bankman-Fried had to agree to outside of the cash, an ankle bracelet monitoring his position at all times, seizure of his passport, and internet and communications monitoring. A lawyer speaking on background told Protos that the point of bail, quote, is to ensure the defendant shows up to trial, and secondly, that the community is protected, end quote. If both of those parameters are met, there's no reason not to grant a defendant bail. The lawyer said, quote, to me it looks like the government is simply giving him enough rope to legally hang himself, end quote. Strong words, but they could be accurate. After Sam Bankman-Fried was found to have used a VPN to supposedly watch the Super Bowl, tampered with witnesses by reaching out to multiple former FTX employees, and posted 2 Substack blogs declaring his innocence, the prosecution didn't recommend Sam Bankman-Fried have his bail revoked or all internet access denied. Instead, more restrictions were requested. The lawyer said, quote, I really believe the prosecution are letting him out to continue to make mistakes, because it could give them a leg up in plea negotiations, end quote. Lawyers weigh in on the differences between Sam Bankman-Fried and Eisenberg. There are 2 competing narratives for why Eisenberg hasn't attempted to be released on bail. One possibility is that maybe his family and friends simply couldn't afford it, even at a rate of 1% or less, like Sam Bankman-Fried. The other is that Eisenberg is expecting to make a plea and do 2 years or less in prison overall. If this is the case, he could be preemptively beginning his prison sentence, while plea negotiations with the government continue. Either way, Eisenberg isn't in a significant bind like Sam Bankman-Fried, who's looking at over a decade in prison as a best-case scenario. One of the several lawyers Protos spoke to on background said that, quote, Eisenberg's crime is a one-off and smaller. His case is much stronger than Bankman-Fried's. The key point is conspiracy theories don't account for the fact that different crimes and how suspects behave will alter bail conditions, end quote. Indeed, other lawyers Protos reached out to mentioned a few significant factors that could have played a difference in how Sam Bankman-Fried and Eisenberg were treated. While both cases are crypto-related, they're quite different. The cases have separate judges with their own free will when it comes to setting bail. An unfortunate truth, some attorneys have more power and name recognition than others. Additionally, lawyers propose that the differences in the amount of remorse shown or responsibility taken could have factored in. Sam Bankman-Fried admits he fucked up, while Eisenberg is still suggesting he deserves the Mango Market exploit funds. However, speculation is all one can do. Another lawyer said, quote, "At the end of the day, there isn't any single explanation for why bail requirements may be so different," end quote. For anyone who's interested in a more detailed understanding from a lawyer as to how bail works in federal court cases, Ken White has written a beautiful explainer. For more informed news, follow us on Twitter and Google News, or subscribe to our YouTube channel.